brought to you by KHS Bicycles, a full line of bicycles sold in 30 countries. Jensen USA, America's #1 online retailer of bikes and accessories, ODI, the world leader in grip technology, and Angel Fire Bike Park, the top-rated bike park in the Southwest. Welcome to Mountain Bike Mania. I'm Samantha McDonald. We're in the shadow of New York City today at Mountain Creek Bike Park in Vernon, New Jersey. Vernon, New Jersey is only about an hour's drive from New York City and is home to 20 miles of the Appalachian Trail. In the winter, the mountains here are full of skiers, but once the snow melts, bikes take over. This is race number 2 of USA Cycling's Pro GRT, a 7-race series crisscrossing the country. If a rider wants to be the winner of today's race, he or she has to be the fastest one down the mountain. During the series, riders are awarded points based on their race results. At the end of the 7 races, the rider with the most points in each category will be crowned the Pro GRT winners for 2016. We saw some of the tightest competition in the Pro Men's category in Port Angeles, Washington. Tanner Stevens took the win, but the top 8 guys were all within 1 second of each other. And today's race is going to be even tougher. There are crowd favorites Gwin, Luca Shaw, and Nico Mullally all getting in one last race before they head overseas to compete in the next World Cup race. Jill Kintner continues her dominance of the women's competition, and Steve Walton tops the junior expert leaderboard. They were both the fastest down the mountain for the qualifying round. For more on qualifying, here are Ross and Mikey to break it all down and tell us who looks strong today.
Thanks, Sammy. Here's the qualifying brought to you by KHS Bikes. We got Gwin in the top spot. Who else we got in there, Ross?
Well, right after him, we saw Luca Shaw for this, I think, second year in the row. They qualified first and second. So it'll be interesting to see how they stack up on race day. And in third, we got KIRAN McKinnon.
The silent assassin out of NorCal.
We got Jill Kintner, once again for the women, taking down the top spot.
And then young Samantha KINGSHILL, I believe, in second.
Right after her. But we got Steve Walton taking down the top qualifying spot. Sean Bell through the pretty awkward little tree section. Let's jump ahead to our course preview, brought to you by Jensen USA.
Asylum. Double down in, keeping it smooth. Nice little section. Green, choose the high line again. Definitely different lines than I'm used to. Big ol' hip.
Here's our ODI start list for the junior experts.
We got SoCal 1-2, and then Adam Robbins from Canada in the third spot. We'll see how they do today, but who are we going to start with here, Mikey?
This is Devin Kayers out of Santa Cruz, California, another NorCal rider. Showing some good results earlier in the year in qualifying. We haven't seen him quite make that podium yet, I don't believe, at a GRT, but
he's a dirt jumper, isn't he?
He does do a lot of dirt jumping, as most of the kids in Santa Cruz do, but now that the post office jumps are gone, a lot of those guys are switching up and going back to riding real downhill bikes.
Big bikes, good. Dirt jumpers, for those of you that don't know, are basically bigger BMX bikes for, well, jumping. And that's their sole purpose, really. Unlike the downhill bikes, which have a ton of suspension and moving parts and ball bearings and whatnot.
Oof, Devin real quick through that Asylum rock garden right there. Saw him a little bit tentative up in the high-speed open bit to the top, but definitely looks like he's making up some time here at the bottom.
Definitely. We got the time to beat by Titus Nicholson. Oh, and he's up. In
through the tight little S-berms again. Kind of the dirt jump style might help him ride in berms a bit. So, into the finish corral, Ross. What do we think?
I think he'll put up a good time. He looks smooth the whole time. Let's see where that puts him. Right ahead of Blake.
Into the lead, just in front of the SoCal's Blake Motley.
That's pretty good. It should be noted that there's no cameraman on the Red Bull drop due to the fact that he had to be airlifted out during his race run, so apologies for that. But we got Jason Eiswald from Birmingham. He pedals that downhill bike up and down hills, and we've been long time coming, waiting to see him on the show. He's one of the fastest kids, I think, this year in the junior category.
Although both him and his brother Carson, this is kind of their first year traveling outside of the Northwest to race, so a lot of this terrain very different, dirt very different from what they're used to riding.
On course walk, Jason was walking down, and around every corner there's so many rocks, and he was just like, oh my god. I mean, clearly he must think it's fun. He's just floating down that stuff and
sprinting into the Red Bull jump.
He looks very calculated, wouldn't you say, Mikey?
He's very smooth. Doesn't look like he's putting out a whole lot of extra effort. But definitely one of the smaller riders, too. Oof, sending that hip real deep. Looks like he's got a lot of moto background as well. Really pushing the bike around with his lower body as opposed to
almost blowing that last little bit.
Airing out, just barely making it.
Would you say he rides a bit like Carson, his brother?
You know, it's hard to say. I haven't seen too much of him riding,
And
but
he's
into
up-
the
whoa,
lead. Wow,
it's like 4 seconds
2:13.
almost.
Big gap right
Sending
there.
Look at him dig in the suspension, get the rear tire tracking.
Next up, Josh Rogers.
North Carolina, Billy Goat Bikes. He's had a pretty productive off-season racing Nico Mullali's race season down in Tennessee and North Carolina.
I remember seeing some good results out of him, and then I think an injury, right? Didn't he get hurt towards the end of last year?
May have broke his hand or something.
And was right on pace to set up some high line there on the rock slab. That's only a line some of the top pros can get onto it at speed, and Josh definitely holding some real good pace here.
That's the key at speed. I mean, we were able to do it when we rode down, but if you're trying to get down the mountain as fast as you can, it's fighting the traction.
Into the Asylum, super smooth.
You see him
not even have
out.
to take a pedal for that jump. Does anyway though, carrying more speed.
It's better to be a little safer than crashing, right, Mikey?
Yeah, you definitely on that type of jump, it's okay to go too far.
He's barely back, still.
500ths, that's definitely within reach.
See if his training takes over and he can just pilot the thing down the hill.
Nice and smooth through those S-berms.
This section has a bunch of scattered rocks.
It's real deceiving. It looks almost smooth from when you're looking above it, but as you ride through, all you hear is your rims pinging, your suspension working. 2:11.99.
He put almost 2 seconds on Jason.
In the lower third of the track. Wow, that's impressive.
Cool. That's really quick. Good boy, Josh.
2:11, one of the fastest qualifying times we saw from the juniors
From pros,
yesterday.
yeah.
So
that too. All right, well, Sean Bell, he's been having a pretty stellar season at Fontana and then at the last race in Port Angeles, and not even jump airing into that. Most of the guys we saw.
Sean, one of the taller riders that happens to be on a Santa Cruz bike again. So a lot of those guys, they use the height to their advantage and don't necessarily have to jump and gap and bump over different events.
Right. There was an article out talking about how they made their bikes a little bigger, and they were wondering, like, how big is tube? That was a big slam, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely using all the suspension parts right there.
Well, floating into the jump.
The hip. Let's see what his split time is. 2.5 seconds up. Whoa, he's got a gap on him there.
That is quick. Where do you make that up? It's such a short track.
It is a very short track, but at very high speed as well. So a lot of that's just letting off the brakes just that little bit more into every corner.
Looks like he's
crossing the finish line. Wow, 2:09.
That could almost place in pro.
That's 3 seconds faster, almost 3 seconds faster than our fastest seed yesterday, Steve Walton.
But we're gonna see him right now, so.
Dropping in on the intense Palmer project. This is still his first year racing junior. Yeah, he's got a full another year to race the World Cup.
Floating in.
And showing he's already on pace with the #1 seed here.
Brake checking, but still getting pushed a little outside.
A little bit outside, but definitely carrying good speed. One of the smaller riders out there, like we said, just only 16 years old, so maybe not having the full momentum. Oh, but taking a sprint out of there, almost losing the back end. And pinning it through Asylum. Wow, he's got some massive pace.
This guy's
dropping down, setting a little wide there. He might have wanted to hold that line just a little bit tighter if he wants to keep on pace with Sean's time. Ooh, he's about 2.5 seconds back.
That looks like maybe something slowed him down for a second there.
Yeah, that's going to be real tough to pull back in the bottom parts of this track, that's for sure. Taking little half pedals there, trying to get his speed back up.
I wonder if something happened that we couldn't see, but...
See if he can pull back that full 2.5. And... No, into 4th. Wow.
Well,
Steve Walton must have had some issues that we did not see on camera.
He'll probably stay in the top of the overall.
Yeah, that's definitely going to help him in the overall points, but
there you have it.
Sean Bell.
Josh Rogers from North Carolina second, Jason from Bellingham, Washington, Steve Walton, Devin Kerr, and rest of the guys.
We're here with Sean Bell, the winner of the Junior Extra race. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Is this your first Pro GRT win?
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah.
How did you get to this point?
guess just kept practicing. The first couple times like weren't as good, but I just tried to stay focused and not get too discouraged with bad results. And now I'm really happy with finally getting my first win.
And you're a West Coast guy from California. I mean, and you won here out on the East Coast. What's the secret?
I don't know. I guess back home we have a lot of rocks as well, just maybe not as sharp as these, but I feel like it wasn't too far off from home being with these dry conditions like SoCal. I mean, I thought maybe for a little bit it was going to rain, but with being dry, I was pretty happy.
Yeah, lucky you. Well, congratulations. Thank you again.
Welcome back to MountainBike Mania. We're going to take a look at the pro women's race recap before we head into the pro men. We have Angelina Palermo. This is filmed earlier today. Thundering into third place. Who we got here, Mikey?
Lauren Daney, East Coast local, making her kind of come back out of retirement, taking home the number 2 spot.
She sent that. I hear she's on a new bike too, but not to be outdone. Once again, Jill Kintner taking down the win for the pro women. That makes it 2 in a row for her this season.
Yep, Kintner pretty much the unstoppable force in the women's race.
So let's head on to our pro men's start list. We got some familiar names. Gwin, the fastest man in the world right now. Man to beat. Luca Shaw, right on the pace with him. And KIRAN McKinnon, one of the best guys in the overall last year.
First one we're going to see, though, is our number 13 qualifier, Jimmy Leslie. So that seems to be a pretty tight qualifying position. If we saw at the first GRT, 12 and 13, I think our number 12 qualifier was Tanner Stevens, and he ended up taking the win at that first race. So let's see what Jimmy can do for us here.
Take a peek.
Here's that tight inside line we saw earlier, Ross.
He's an ex-skier. He stopped skiing because he blew his knees out too many times, and I guess he thought biking was safer.
Yeah, my doctor actually told me the same thing when I was a bunch younger and did some knee problems. He's like, oh, cycling's one of the best things for your knees. I don't think he had this in mind when he was telling me that. So, nice and smooth, though, through all of this rough East Coast rocks.
Yeah, Jimmy Leslie making great speed with his pumping.
Oof.
Just getting over the
9/100ths of a second in front of the local boy, Jason Memoir.
Also, he's not any way related to Shane Leslie, just so you guys know.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of like names on the circuit.
Yeah, Jimmy has slightly orangey red hair. But
2:07.89. Wow,
that
great time. Just barely in front there of Dakota Norton.
Dakota had a great offseason, too. Both of them were down in Nico's race series doing runs. But here we got Mitch. He was second or third at Port Angeles, so he's having a good start to his season. Let's see if he can keep the wheels rolling.
Yeah, second place at the first round. His first year back on racing full downhill. New bike, new team. Hanging out with the Shaw brothers a bunch on the TLD factory program.
Yeah, Luca and him are on the same bike, so they definitely can do bike things, but as far as lines go, yeah.
Yeah, and both of them have some great bike handling abilities anyway on the little bikes, so it's great to see him back on the big bikes full time.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Mitch is always one of the fastest.
He's definitely one of the most exciting to watch, but it's funny. Maybe Mitch is a little bit older, a little bit more composed. We don't see a lot of the crazy flair and wild riding like we used to when he was a young junior.
He's just going down the hill as fast as he can.
2 seconds up though at the split. Wow, that is fast.
That's nuts. Oh, jumping in, cornering. That's such a cool section.
Little karate chop berms, able to muscle that long V10 around. Into the finish. Here's what we're used to seeing Mitch doing is big old pedals. But,
look at that.
Stoppy Sunday, 2:05.18.
Dang right. If you're going to be in first place, you can nose wheelie the whole way.
Taking pedals out of that and jumping
into the rocks, yeah. Oh boy, the alphabet kid, Dimitri Trantflew from Salt Lake City.
Yeah, this kid is another one of those wild Utah kids that's, if he keeps on his bike and keeps the bike together, he's going to have a good run.
After Port Angeles in the parking lot, he and some of the Salt Lake boys, swapping up.
Blowing out that rut.
They were just jumping in and out of ravines, like next to the highway, and doing a whole bunch of crazy stair jumps, and just can't keep these boys off the bikes, you know?
Yeah, definitely all about having fun.
Sliding a bit on the rock, too.
Ooh.
Cranking out,
Looks like you might have been in the not quite the right gear, having to sprint a little bit for that jump.
Do you downshift into that section?
Most riders are already going so fast in the high-speed bit above it that they're usually in the right gear if they're taking pedals. But when he's about 2 seconds down, that's going to be real tough to pull back on somebody like Mitch.
Mitch was cooking, so he might still be in second or third. That was a smooth little
double in for Dimitri,
but bike in.
But not taking the pedals like we saw Mitch do. So 2:07, not going to be enough to take the lead, but that's going to put him in second.
That's pretty right ahead of Jimmy Leslie and Phil Metz. You got Jason Memlar on there. He's your old teammate, isn't he, Mikey?
Yeah, well, actually, I think he was on Yeti well after me, but we're good buddies. I usually stay with him and the Wild Man at his compound over in Chester, New York when I'm up here. So
nice. That's pretty close by, too. Well, here we got Shane Leslie, not Jimmy Leslie's cousin.
Yeah, the other Leslie from the other Michigan downhiller is basically what we like to call it.
Yeah, Jimmy's from Pittsburgh and Shane is from Michigan. Both not very well known for their mountains, but clearly, I mean, Shane was 5th in the overall last year for the GRT, so he's...
Yeah, a couple seasons ago, I believe Shane actually moved just straight out to Mountain Creek and spent the entire season living here at this mountain.
That's right.
And just riding every day.
He said I think he rode 60 days in a row.
And that's if you're gonna get fast on East Coast style trails,
this is the place.
This is gonna be the place to do it. So
it's helping him in the World Cups too, for sure, right? Maybe not as steep, but as far as being chunky and
definitely rough and fast and a little bit balled up in there, but taking the outside line where it might be a little bit smoother, jumping out.
Think it's okay to straight line into those corners?
Then not really, unfortunately. There's just not quite enough support on him. Into third for Shane, right behind the Alphabet Kid.
Nice. Well, all the time at Mountain Creek paid off a little bit. We got Schroeder, Jason Schroeder from around San Diego, Carlsbad. He's been working for 100% on the road, giant co-factory team.
Setting up wide there.
Saw so many wheels explode there.
Yeah, we definitely saw that people trying to gap that out and having some colossal damage done to their bikes. But
made it look good.
Jason pushing down early and making sure that his bike's going to make it to the finish line first.
Did he just jump over a marmot? That's where the marmot lives, right?
That was not a moving rock. I'm pretty sure that was an animal.
I'll have to ask him about that once he gets down the hill.
Yeah, I'm quite sure that the wildlife here at Mountain Creek has a death wish. I almost ran over a chipmunk riding trails just a day ago.
Jeez.
And during my qualifying run, I think that same marmot came out and tried to say hello to my wheels. So,
well, I'm sure his head's where it needs to be because he's only half second off Mitch, which is better than we've seen.
Very, very good for Mr. Schroeder.
No marmots getting in his head.
A little bit stalled up right there, but airing out over some of the rocks, trying to keep his momentum.
Yeah, floating back in, getting speed up again.
Into the finish. Big harsh G out. Oh, not going to be enough to take Mitch out, but good enough for third right now.
Putting him in there. Good time for Schroeder. Who we got here? Sean Neer riding on that trail bike with the downhill fork.
Yeah, we saw that work quite well for him just over a year ago at Angel Fire, winning his first ever GRT.
Advantage is it accelerates faster and is lighter.
Disadvantage is that it's not quite as long-legged as some of the downhill bikes, but woof, in this high-speed section, it does not seem to be slowing him down at all.
I mean, that bike is Richie Root, who raced qualifying, but he's not racing today. Oh, pedaling out. He's been winning the Enduro World Series on that same bike. So
again, Enduro World Series is not exactly the same thing as a full downhill GRT. So he's maybe losing a little bit of speed in some of the super rough sections, but it seems to be rolling really fast for him, and it is rolling really fast for him. 1.37 up on Mitch.
That is nuts.
That's going to be a killer time if he can hold it together all the way to the bottom.
He's so smooth through the corners.
Sean rides a ton of BMX, park, and dirt jumps, so smooth is definitely one of the things he's good at, but he's also got a lot of strength. 2:06.18.
Oh, he's a second off.
Wow, that was a great run.
Mitch must have had a crazy bottom half then, huh?
Yeah, the bottom has got a couple little jump sections and that Red Bull house drop that we've seen in years past, and that's something that Mitch is probably a little bit better at pre-hopping and kind of nose-wheeling off than some of these other riders.
Here we got Max Morgan.
Mr. Consistent, I think, is the best way to describe Mr. Morgan.
He's from Georgia, not too much downhill around there. I remember walking to the airport, and it's a lot of grassy hills.
Yeah, not a place where you'd really need a full-on Santa Cruz V10, but I think he recently made the move up to North Carolina to his grandparents' farm, where there's some good riding nearby, and doing a lot with the Southeast Race Series in the winter, the kind of early spring. Almost loses the front end there.
Unclipping and he's pedaling through the rocks. You can see poor rims just smashing. Well, he's back a little bit.
Almost 2 seconds back on Neer.
Neer was way up on Mitch. I mean,
Neer had a killer top split. We'll have to see if he was able to hold that all the way to the bottom, or if Mitch just had a killer finish.
Oh, look, we got another camera on board.
into the finish line, 2:07.77. A bunch of riders bunched up in that 2:07.
So that dab probably cost him a little bit, but
that definitely cost him some time. And I
mental
think the
stuff
bottom
too.
section, I think both Mitch and Sean had killer lower sections.
Right. Well, here we got KIRAN McKinnon. He's been having a good last year and a great this year.
Yeah, starting off the season well.
Well, actually, no, he didn't. He crashed at Port Angeles, but
still salvaged a pretty good place, and then yeah, I got some great points from qualifying.
Yeah, we get points from qualifying. Well, not we, they.
So,
But
yeah, and one of the giants on the Santa Cruz bike. So not necessarily looking like he's always carrying that much speed, but just consistent speed the whole way down like that.
Down.
Wow,
He's
bouncing all the way to the bottom off that front wheel.
Almost pushing the top of that berm off.
Going a little bit wide. Let's see how he stacks up to Sean, though. Sean, a little more of a wild man, and he's up.
Nice.
Wow, up by almost a full second, 3/4 of a second right now.
It's funny because I've heard the East Coast is better for the shorter guys, but here's 6'5" KIRAN McKinnon just
pushing through, yeah.
making it work. Let's see how he comes across the line here.
Across the finish line. Into second.
Just a little bit off.
27 hundredths off of Mitch. Mitch dodging a bullet right now.
That's almost nothing.
That is, yeah, the blink of an eye.
Let's take a look at our Athlete of the Week, brought to you by Angel Fire Bike Park, biggest bike park in the Rocky Mountains.
What do you think makes Southern riders special?
I don't know. I think we don't get as much attention, I think, as like out west, like California and stuff. But I think we have great riding, and I've got great friends to ride with. And yeah, there was a 3-race series around North Carolina and Tennessee in the spring, and that was awesome. Nico put it all together. It was huge turnout. Everyone had fun. Like plenty of pros showed up. So, and I think a lot of people realized like how good the tracks are in our area. So.
Yeah. What's your biggest strength as a rider?
I don't know. I think I'm pretty smooth. Like I don't like waste too much energy on the bike. Like don't crash too much like usually, and I'm pretty smooth. So I'd say that's probably biggest strength.
What would you say is the biggest difference between a World Cup course and a Pro GRT course?
We have all different types of World Cup tracks, but I think the biggest thing is just they're maybe a little bit wider, and there's a lot more like fast people riding it, so the track gets really beat up and rough.
All right, the man you just saw, Luca Shaw.
Number 2 qualifier today. Let's see if he's got enough to take down the fastest man in the world, who's still waiting to drop in. Right now, his friend and teammate in the hot seat, though, Mitch Ropelato with a 2:05.
Let's see if they've been... Oh, he went way wide there.
Choosing to go wide and not fight to get on that off-camber rock. Maybe you're just thinking
Keep
it's a
more
bit
speed.
safer. Not going to be losing the front end or not having to slow down as much to make it into that line.
Or he thought maybe it was blown out. And
Ooh,
played it
it's
safe.
drifting all the way in and
Jumping
tucking
inside.
way inside.
We've never seen that, huh?
Another new line from Luca. Very different riding from what we've seen from most of our riders on the hill.
Crafty. That's what he is. Pumping all those.
Just barely ahead of Mr. McKinnon. 0.02 of a second. Let's see what we can do in this bottom section of the track.
Jumping in again. Staying tall.
Luca, a former dual slalom national champ, so he's
Was he really?
definitely used to those type of karate chop berms.
Bang, bang. Well, what's the time? What?
2:02. Wow, the fastest
What?
time we've seen all weekend.
Putting 2.5 seconds on Mitch. Look at that inside line again.
Jumping into the rocks, into the rough stuff. Just no regards for his wheels.
All right, last man on the hill, though. Gwin. All the pressure's on him.
This kid seems to thrive under pressure. Nothing gets in his head. Weather, bike, malfunction, nothing. We've seen him win World Cups without a chain. We've seen him win local races without tires. He's pretty unbelievable. Choosing to get up high inside right there and
Just like
look
Luca,
at the
right?
pace. Wow. So fast through that upper section.
Just follow a cloud of dust down the hill. That's Gwin.
Here we go into the Asylum rock garden. Coming in so fast. He didn't even slow down to come into that section.
Dude.
So ridiculous the pace this man can carry.
He has to really pump harder to make it fit to the speed he's going. Is that right?
It looks like, yeah. I mean, I know his bikes are always set
Ooh.
up super rough, and wow, 0.5 second on Luca. That's still close, though. All
Yeah,
it
he
takes
could-
is one mistake on this really tight, fast track.
Let's see if he can hold it. Looking pretty darn smooth.
Oof, almost blowing out that berm. Luckily, he's the last man down, so there doesn't need to be anything left.
Manualing and jumping. Here we go.
Into the finish, taking an extra pedal. What's it going to be?
Aaron Gwin! Woo! That is 4 seconds faster than last year when he won.
And 3 seconds faster than his qualifying, almost.
Man,
so
he must be pumped.
The man just knows how to race. That's going to be your race winner here today, Aaron
Fastest
Gwin.
man down the hill.
Followed
3
by
years in a row, right?
Luca Shaw, Mitch Ropelato, and KIRAN McKinnon and Sean Neer both getting great podium results here at the GRTs.
Yeah, that's I think 3rd through 8 is a pretty tight battle.
Yeah, a lot of guys in that 207 mark. Great top 10 board there, brought to you by ODI.
Let's head down and talk to Sammy.
All right, we're here with Aaron Gwin, winner of today's race and the #1 guy in the world. Congratulations!
Thank you.
How do you feel about that?
It's good. Yeah, it's definitely fun. It's been a good year for me so far, and another good weekend here at Mountain Creek. It's one of my favorite events, and seem to do pretty good every weekend, and just a really good time, fun track. So yeah, good to get down the hill safe. It was a bit of a dangerous track in spots, and yeah, so we'll go back to Europe tomorrow. Got a few more races and try to keep it going.
Yeah, how's it different for you this year with a new team?
Yeah, everything's different. New bike, new component sponsors, you know, basically everything on the bike. A lot of stuff on the bike besides suspension. A few things with the Fox guys are all different. And then whole new team, new teammates, you know, kind of all that.
Well, you're on a roll. Congrats on everything. We're rooting for you.
Thank you.
Back to you guys. That's all for this episode of Mountain Bike Mania. Sean Bell, Joel Kintner, and Aaron Gwin are our winners for today's race. The course was pretty brutal, claiming lots of tires and leaving some riders injured, like Nico Malali. We'll see what race number 3 brings when we get to Angel Fire Bike Park in New Mexico. Remember, you can stay up to date on all things Mountain Bike Mania by following us on Facebook, Instagram, and make sure to check out our YouTube page and our website, MTBMania.net. For all our crew and our sponsors, I'm Samantha McDonald. Thank you for watching. Mountain Bike Mania has been brought to you by KHS Bicycles, a full line of bicycles sold in 30 countries. Jensen USA, America's #1 online retailer of bikes and accessories, ODI, the world leader in grip technology, and Angel Fire Bike Park, the top-rated bike park in the Southwest.